Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, true believers, Excelsior. I know it's a little odd, but we're going to be talking Marvel Studios tonight. But, as always, I'm Tim, joined by my buddy Ian. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, we're doing all right. It's been kind of a hectic week here, but kind of starting to wind things down and just ready to chill. The
Are you
kids
right?
go back to school soon, and thank God.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I know your Rugrats are away for most of the summer, so it's not too bad. But mine have been pretty much up inside of me for the last week, and I'm ready to call a proctologist.
I can hear you, buddy. I hear you. But, I mean, like you said, summer's almost over, and eventually you'll have, well, I'd say you have your days free, but during the day, so. At least, but you don't have to deal with the kids while you're working, so. You got that at least.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. So anyway, as Tim said, we're going to be talking the new Phase 5 and 6 information that came out of San Diego Comic Con. I think it was Comic Con. Yeah, San Diego Comic Con.
Yes, sir, it was.
Uh, from Marvel Studios that was just announced. Obviously we're kind of chucking through the current phase, which is Phase 4,
Four.
which has been dubbed the Multiverse Saga. Um, we're getting ready to round that out here with just another couple of movies. And then we're going to be moving on to Phase 5. I don't know that we have had a moniker bestowed for Phase 5 yet, but uh,
Not sure. I mean, if they did, it was like a brief thing, but like, we're wrapping up Phase 4. I mean, we have, as of the time of recording anyway, we have She-Hulk's coming out here in a couple weeks, which I'm. We've got Black Panther 2, which that's one that Marvel just put out the trailer. Definitely looks good. Um, my only complaint with Phase 4 is, I mean, while we did get a lot of multiverse stuff, did Phase 4 kind of seem disjointed to you? Like, I mean, there was an overarching theme of like multiverse, but it, apart from that, it just kind of felt like, I mean, yes, it's post Infinity War, so there's a showing how everybody's kind of trying to recover their lives and whatnot, but it just felt really disjointed. I mean, it wasn't,
honestly, to me,
they
it was.
weren't, nothing was bad. I liked Thor. I like the new Thor, which I know a lot of people were very hit or miss on it, but I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I've been whelmed. To go back to an old topic of ours. I feel just whelmed.
Right?
There were things that were really enjoyable. I loved WandaVision. I
Yep.
loved Loki.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Spider-Man.
I loved Spider-Man. That one so far has probably been the crowning achievement of Phase 4 to me.
Yeah, like
Probably because of how much of a love letter to the fans it was.
yes. Well,
Versus, and I admittedly have not seen several things from Phase 4 yet. I haven't seen Moon Knight. I haven't seen Miss Marvel. I haven't seen Thor. I haven't even seen the new Doctor Strange movie. Actually,
okay.
I haven't watched it yet. But
Right.
you can't swing a dead cat on the internet without hitting spoilers anymore. So
Yeah.
I pretty much kind of know what's all going
Right.
on. But
Like, I mean, Doctor Strange, I think, was the one that I was looking most. I've always liked that character. I liked how Benedict Cumberbatch portrayed him in the first one. I was looking forward to the second one. And while the second one wasn't bad, I mean, it had a lot of good moments. It just, it was fun. It wasn't great. It was fun. It was good. Same thing with Thor 4. Like, I liked it. It was good. Wasn't great, but it was. I still think, but between the two, here's my opinion. Between the two, Ragnarok was better. But that being said, though, like Ian alluded to, that they are wrapping up Phase 4, getting ready to go into Phase 5, which is going to start off 2023 pretty early. The first one on their slate for, see, it's February 17th, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
mhm.
which ties back into, as Ian mentioned, Loki. And I believe we're out of the statute of spoilers for this now. But Loki ends with a variant of Kang the Conqueror. And the very ending scene is you see statues of Kang in the TVA. Well, Quantumania, Kang is apparently going to be the bad guy in that, and apparently they're setting him up to be like the next big bad. And if you know anything about Kang, if they keep to the tradition of Marvel Studios of kill their villain in the first movie they show up in, which is, I hate to say it, Marvel, that's kind of getting a little tired because yes, I know you don't want to have recurring villains, but Guess what? Your comics have been doing that for decades now. It's okay not to kill a villain. It's okay, Marvel. But
Well, the other thing
yeah,
with that, though, the thing with Kang is he's a multi-universal entity.
well, he's a
He
time
spans,
traveler. So I mean,
and he's a time traveler. He spans, multiple universes. So, theoretically, they could actually keep killing him off, and it wouldn't really matter.
yeah. I mean, because even if they only go the time traveler angle, which Kang is more well, they could kill him, and then Kang could show up again, and it's Kang from a different point in time.
Yeah.
He has done that. There's been times where I believe Kang has actually fought against himself because he didn't agree with what he was doing at that point in time. But again, it's time travel. It's really really weird to do that. As well as the TVA introduced the concept of variants, which are versions of them from alternate timelines off of the main timeline. So even if you do a Kang that's, oh, I'm a Kang from way earlier in the timeline, and they kill him then, you could still do Kangs that are technically after that point in time that are from branch timelines where Kang didn't die. So it's really weird, but Kang is apparently going to be the big bad in Quantumania. And at San Diego Comic Con, they put out a like a teaser poster for it, and it looks like Kang is going to have a pretty comic accurate, um, which
So,
a lot of people were really really stoked about. But
so he'll look like Kazoo from the Flintstones
I
cartoon.
mean, kind of, but taller. Speaking of things with big heads, though, apparently MODOK is going to be in Quantumania, and word on the rumor mill is that while he is keeping the big head, apparently he's going to be fully robotic. He's not going to be like cybernetic. Which, as long as they get the big head and the little tiny arms in the chair, I don't care. I'll be happy with it because it's freaking MODOK.
As long as he's voiced by Patton Oswalt, then
Right.
you know. Um,
There are rumors because Bill Murray is apparently playing. It is confirmed that he's playing an unnamed role in Quantumania. There are rumors that he is either going to be playing MODOK himself, like the voice of MODOK, which that would be kind of cool to have Bill Murray do that. Or he's going to be playing and I don't remember what the character's name is, but it's a character that's in the quantum realm that is more of a like C-list obscure character, which for somebody of Bill Murray's age would probably be, I hate to say it, more appropriate, playing a cameo part versus a
right.
main character part. Um, I mean, he's not a young spring chicken anymore. But
No.
Quantumania is, I think, is going to be a fun one. The Ant-Man movies, while they haven't been for most people like the top of their absolute favorite Marvel films, they've been enjoyable. But the two that we've had so far have been very enjoyable. They were fun movies, and thematically, Ant-Man, at least the way they've done the movies thus far, have felt more upbeat compared to some of the other Marvel films, which I kind of like that trend. You know what you're getting out of an Ant-Man film. It's going to be goofy. It's going to be fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's Paul Rudd.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Moving on from there, though, then we obviously are going to be looking at Secret Invasion, which is one of Marvel's more well-known and popular storylines. It follows the Skrull invasion of Earth,
Yep.
which is going to be interesting to me because
Yeah.
up until this point, the Skrulls have been kind of portrayed as um,
The good guys. Yeah.
allies to like Nick Fury and Shield and even Miss Marvel. I'm sorry, Captain Marvel. And we're going to see the return of Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, which I don't know if you heard. I think we may have mentioned in a previous show. Sam Jackson is at this point said is like, you know what? I don't care about any Oscars. I'm just going to play like Nick Fury and Mace Windu and those kind of characters for the rest of my career. I'm having fun.
Wait, I mean,
So
yeah, he's having fun playing those. But yeah,
right,
Secret Invasion is going to be interesting because, like you said, up to this point, the Skrulls have been shown to be allied. They want to work with humanity. So I'm wondering if they're going to change Secret Invasion a bit to kind of change it up, or if it's going to be, they did that to gain trust so that they could start, their, like the title says,
even if they
Secret
did, then
Invasion.
if they did, then they're definitely playing the long game because they introduced the scrolls canonically, I believe, in what the 80s
I was gonna say, yeah.
in the the
This,
larger MCU continuity.
yep,
And the MCU is admittedly a few years ahead of our current timeline at this
yes.
point because of the blip, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I could see it being that. I could see it also being something, something akin to like maybe it's a like the main Skrull force or something like that.
Oh, and
That's
these guys, just the ones that we've seen thus far, like an offshoot.
yeah. I mean,
I
because
can
the,
see
the
that.
the other thing is that the Skrulls have always been in opposition to the Kree, and we haven't really seen any of the Kree save for Ronan and the Kree from the Captain Marvel movie,
Right.
which were not quite traditional, like the traditional way they always portrayed the Kree. So there is still potential opportunity there.
That's true.
But this is also coming out apparently as a Disney Plus series. So
Yes, which is going to be
I'm
interesting because like it's going to be in theory longer than a movie, but it's going to be done episodically, which could be. I don't know if I like that format, but we're going to get more minutes worth of content. I just don't know if I'm going to like it being episodic.
the thing is though that I want the episodes to be longer, like 45 minutes
Yes.
to an hour.
Yes.
And I felt like that worked really well with WandaVision. And Loki, like they were longer episodes.
Yeah.
Stuff that's generally shorter feels like there's not enough content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you and I talked about it when we reviewed Falcon and Winter, is that it felt rushed. Like the whole, especially the last half of the show, felt really rushed. I'm hoping that Secret Invasion, having been in production a little longer now, and now that things are a little bit easier to work with in studios as far as health, safety, and whatnot. I'm hoping that that one won't suffer from, and even Hawkeye felt rushed. So I'm
Oh
I'm
yeah, I
ho-
haven't seen Hawkeye yet either.
yeah, Hawkeye's good. Hawkeye's good. So I'm hoping that Secret Invasion won't be rushed. I want that's a pretty important event in Marvel Comics. I want them to do it because if Secret Invasion goes poor, you're gonna have a lot of people really upset by it.
Right.
But it's gonna be interesting because there were a lot of characters in the comics that were pretty important in Secret Invasion that we have yet to actually see in the MCU proper. So I'm wondering if Secret Invasion is going to introduce some of those, or if they're going to recast them, or well, not recast, but put different characters in
Retcon.
place. Yeah, retcon it as different characters. So I mean, that's one that I'm all in all I'm excited but apprehensive about Secret Invasion, just because I want it to be done right.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward actually to Ben Mendel to seeing Ben Mendelsohn come back as Talos. I think he did the character. I think he played the part because Talos is kind of an original character type. He plays the character well, and I like Ben Mendelsohn.
Right,
It's hard for me not to see him as director Krennic from Rogue One, but
right. Oh God, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot he was in Rogue One.
yeah, I mean he was the main
I
bad guy.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on, then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is one that I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on.
Yeah,
Everyone kind of knows the Guardians at this point. We're going to have Chris Pratt and Vin Diesel, Bradley
Bradley
Cooper,
Cooper.
Bradley Cougar, uh, Bradley Cougar Mellencamp.
Oh
Um,
God. But
uh,
apparently, I don't know if you heard this or not. I will preface this part with a spoiler because of the movie. But it's kind of I think everybody knows this. The Guardians of the Galaxy are in Thor: Love and Thunder. Very
mhm,
briefly, right at the beginning of the film, pretty much they're a plot device for why Thor is geographically where he is, and then
right.
they go away and you don't see him the rest of the movie. So it's more of a fun cameo than anything else. But apparently, Guardians 3 is going to ignore Thor 4. What I was hearing. But I mean, apart from the fact that he traveled with them for a while, I really don't think that there's going to be anything major if they don't mention the fact that, oh yeah, Thor was on our ship for a while. I don't think it's going to
Right.
really. I know a lot of people are really upset by that. I don't think it's really going to affect that at all. But yeah, I mean, it's a Guardians film. You know what you're getting into. Yeah, I mean, the first two were fun. This one's going to be fun too, I think.
Yeah, the only thing that's really going to bum me out is that there's not going to be Michael Rooker. Um,
Yeah, yeah, there is that. Well, I mean, and depending on, especially after the end of Endgame, Zoe Saldana. I don't know what they're gonna do with her as Gamora, because while there is a Gamora out there, it's a Gamora from before she joined the Guardians because of time travel.
right.
So I mean, I'm curious to see if she's going to be in the film, and if so, I want to see how they address effectively resetting her character.
Right. Well, I mean, they've done that a few times in the comics with various other characters as well. I mean,
Right.
I think canonically in the comics, Star Lord got blasted into an alternate
I
universe
think so.
and got like literal Star Lord powers and had a family, and then he got sucked back and has like PTSD from that.
Right. Well, I mean, and
Uh,
even in the comics, there's been other members of the Guardians. I mean, well, heck, Iron Man was a member of the Guardians for a while. Venom was a member of the Guardians, which I don't think we're going to see Venom in that because Sony, Marvel, that whole thing. Although they're thinking about it, there is still a symbiote piece of symbiote running around the MCU right.
yep,
Forgot about that.
yeah.
Oh,
But anyway,
yeah,
we'll moving on from Guardians. We've also got a new Disney Plus series, Echo,
yep,
which is kind of a spin-off of the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, where
yep,
we'll see the titular character Echo coming back, and just kind of focuses on her origin story. Again, I didn't see Hawkeye, so
right.
can't really say much about the character. I don't, if I remember correctly, she wasn't featured prominently in.
I mean, she was because I mean she was kind of the big bad before the big bad. Um, but I know she has ties to both Kingpin and Daredevil. Which I don't know if you saw. They confirmed from the She-Hulk trailer. Matt Murdock's back. Daredevil's back. Charlie Cox is back. Officially. I mean,
I mean,
we saw him in Spider-Man, but they actually show him suited up in She-Hulk. Uh,
yeah,
so I mean, I believe, and I may be wrong. Sorry, viewers, but I believe that Charlie Cox is also going to be doing some stuff in Echo as well. Which Kevin Feige came out talking about Daredevil. A lot of people said, and you'll notice this as we go through this list. Spider-Man is not mentioned anywhere on this list, which a lot of fans were kind of worried. You know, does that mean Tom Holland's done? As the deal with Sony fallen through and you can't use him anymore? And what Kevin Feige said is that Spider-Man and Daredevil are going to be leading effectively their street level hero. Um, whereas like Guardians, Thor, those guys are going to be handling the cosmic stuff. Avengers are going to be handling mostly the Earthbound and threats directly to Earth stuff. So you're going to see characters kind of go off again, which is going to be kind of nice. So I mean, because that's one thing that even Hawkeye, who admittedly is a street level hero, apart from his Disney Plus show, we haven't really in the MCU had street level heroes.
well, everything's been
Yeah,
a macro level threat. There hasn't been,
exactly.
day to day. People don't get rogues galleries in the MCU because, as we said earlier, everyone dies. I
Right?
mean, we had an opportunity to have Crossbones, but they
Yeah.
killed him off within 5 minutes of
Very
the
yeah, I'll say very quickly and unceremoniously. Um,
right.
but yeah, so I mean, Echo is going to kind of be, I think, exploring more of the street level stuff, um, along with like Daredevil, Spider-Man, things of that nature. But
Yeah,
I mean, not a whole lot about Echo. I mean, it is another Disney Plus show, and you guys will kind of see pretty much from this point forward. A lot of it is stuff that we knew is coming. This is just Marvel giving dates to it, and a lot of it there's not really a whole lot of information about it yet. Like our next thing that's coming out, which is slated for summer 2023, Loki season 2. And as I had mentioned earlier, Loki season 1 ends with the TVA being apparently taken over by Kang, because of the actions of Loki. I'm forgetting one, and Loki. Um, the sacred timeline is fractured. Multiverses are running rampant. Alternate timelines are everywhere. So we're kind of going to see the fallout of that. But beyond that, like we don't really have like a plot synopsis that I'm aware of. We don't have like a general theme of it. We just know that it's continuing season 2. Um, yes, good.
I have a theory. We get through phase 5 and 6, and at the very end of 6, basically they reboot and reset the MCU timeline, and then the very next movie is Captain America.
Again,
Again.
like I mean,
Except it's a reboot. Like it's a reboot now, so it's new cast,
well, I
like
mean, but
slightly new
by the time we
story.
get to that, I mean, we're talking 2026 at that point is
Yeah.
when all that will be going. And what we'll get to in Phase 6, that may hold some ground, actually, Ian. But we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Um, So going on from that, going back away from Disney Plus back to cinema, we do have also in summer, July 2023, we have the Marvels featuring Captain Marvel, Ms.
It's
Marvel,
the
yep,
Marvels.
and all of their assorted cast. Um, so I mean, it is a sequel to Captain Marvel, but it's bringing in all of the Marvel. Um, I'd be curious to see if they actually uh, delve more into the Kree in that. I mean, that was pretty heavily done in Captain Marvel, but I mean, this is also going to be post Secret Invasion, so it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. I think.
Well, the other thing being that the Kree, again, Captain Marvel happens in the '80s, which is 20 years before the main MCU really kind of picked up.
Right.
So there's obviously some time there that we can get more information, and obviously we Ms. Marvel is didn't exist back then, so it's going to be
Right.
after that time period. But
Yep.
we could see more of the Kree at this point.
Right. Which would be
Uh,
kind of cool to get that. I mean, 20 a lot can change in 20 years, even for hyper advanced space civilization. A lot can change in 20 years. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, that'd be fun. It's gonna be fun, but apparently, more rumor mill stuff. There was like a early test screening of it, or at least parts of it, and apparently the the people that viewed it were apparently meh about it.
mhm.
So allegedly that one might be getting moved because they might have to do some reshoots because apparently the test audience just didn't do anything
Didn't
for him. Yeah. So
Well, yeah, I know. I wish them the best in that one. I hope that they find their footing on that one. But moving on to the next one, we also have another cinematic release, which is going to be um, slightly, and we're kind of jumping around a little bit here, but we do have another cinematic release, which is going to be Blade,
yep.
which is one that I'm really excited about because
Yes.
as terrible as the originals were, I actually did really enjoy at
Oh
least
yeah.
the first
They,
movie.
like
Um,
all of the original Blade. I mean, were they the pinnacle of cinema? Absolutely not. But they were fun, and arguably was the first non Wade Wilson appearance of Deadpool.
I was
a
just
la
going to
Ryan
say
Re- a la Ryan Reynolds. Now, what would be hilarious in Blade? Because I mean that was the running joke is that Ryan Reynolds was playing Deadpool in all but name. What would be hilarious in Blade? Have Ryan Reynolds be in it again as Deadpool this time, and have him make some snide comment about I really feel like I've been here before, or
well, yeah.
something like that. Because it's Ryan Reynolds.
Right. And we're going to see Marshall Ali as the titular character of Blade, Eric Brooks. So he has a cameo in the Eternals in voice only.
Yeah, which like I'm
Um,
wondering if just he wasn't available for
I
shooting.
think they didn't want to give it. I think they didn't want to give away too much. I mean, everybody
Okay.
kind of knew, but they were still Eternals was still a while ago. I mean,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, I mean, it was what last year.
Yep.
So they were still time to grow
That's
and they
true.
wanted to probably I mean they were probably working on some of the character designs and things like that, so
That's true.
they didn't want to pigeonhole themselves into what they had.
Right.
But given the appearance of Blade, we'll probably see the reappearance of Kit Harington as maybe actually taking on the role of the Black Knight.
Which would be really cool, I think.
Right. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I'm kind of curious how they're going to handle it. Like if it's going to be a rated R movie, because Blade is heavy material. I mean,
Yes.
he's a vampire slayer. He goes around killing vampires.
What?
They should loan him to Sony and they can get rid of that damnable Morbius movie.
Well,
Uh,
I still need to see that, but well,
no, you.
it's gonna be interesting because Disney Plus, talking about Deadpool, Disney Plus just put out both Deadpool movies and Logan for streaming, and I know they're catching all kinds of flack right now of why would you put a rated R movie on here? Well, when Disney started putting out
We
any of their,
own them.
well, exactly that, and when Disney Plus started putting out some of their shows that were more mature rated, you had to go in and change your parental settings. So parents, you can easily go in and go no explicit content, and guess what? Your kids won't be able.
Yeah, like
But so with that said, I
like
wouldn't
even
be
on my kids
surprised if Blade was
profile,
rated
I'm
R.
pretty sure they couldn't even watch like one of the newer Pixar movies. Like I had to actually like watch it on my profile, pull it up on my profile.
Oh wow. But
yeah,
yeah, I
anyway,
wouldn't be surprised if Blade carries either an R rating or at the very least that borderline PG-13. Because it's amazing what you can do when you make blood a different color.
right.
So, but
So,
kind of going after that, we're getting more into the fall season here now of 2023. Another Disney Plus show, which we're gonna have a total of 5 shows on Disney Plus here, just Marvel. That's not even including Star Wars or anything else. But Ironheart, who is actually going to be making her MCU debut in Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever. Ironheart, anybody who's familiar with her in the comics, Riri will is a kind of a spin-off Iron Man character, effectively super genius, reverse engineers Iron Man to make her own Iron Man suit, complete with like a arc reactor heart shape, hence her name Ironheart. We don't know a whole lot about the show yet. I mean, we haven't even seen the character proper, but we will in just a few months. So it's going to be her Disney Plus show, which I don't imagine is going to be an origin, just because we are getting her origin this year. And there have already been some toy leaks and merchandise leaks that show that she will have armor in Black Panther 2. It, however, will not be like mainline Iron Man armor. It's effectively her Mark One.
right,
It looks while it works, it looks very put together with what she had to work with. Almost like she built it in a cave from scraps.
right.
But I really wish we could afford Jeff Bridges. Um, but so I don't imagine Ironheart's going to be a origin story so much as it is a coming into age story.
Yeah, and I'm interested in that one, but I'll admit I'm not as interested in that one as I am in the next one, which is Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
Which
And
got a
again,
name
sketching
change.
right.
Because originally it was House of Harkness, and now
Yeah.
it's Coven of Chaos. Went from Ha to never mind. I can't say that one.
Yeah. So we'll see the return of Agatha Harkness. This is more of a prequel show exploring her past and how she kind of becomes who she is. Agatha Harkness being the, a witch, who was the, as they say, the undercover villain of WandaVision.
It was
It was
Agatha all
Agatha
along, which is still the
played by
best thing.
yes, played by Catherine Hahn, who did a fantastic job as that character. I
Yes. Oh my
love
God.
her
Yes.
portrayal of Agatha Harkness. And what's funny is that she, not really funny, but Catherine herself, who's a comedian, loved playing that character as well.
Right.
She had a fantastic time
Oh
playing
yeah.
the character and just kind of getting into that persona and being able to kind of play different versions of herself,
Right. Now,
throughout WandaVision. So, and
I
I'm
think
definitely
what's
looking forward to it.
right. I think what's going to be interesting in that. I mean, like you said, it is primarily an origin story, but sp- spoiler alert, because it's still relatively new. Given what happens with Wanda in Doctor Strange 2, I would be interested to see how things may be happening to her. I don't want to give away too much, but I'd be curious to see what kind of things might be happening to Agatha present day as well. So
And if I mean it's a Disney Plus series, so maybe they're going to end the series by exploring that. Well, it's a possibility. We'll have to see.
yeah, that's true.
But then I think the next one is going to be the really big one that a lot of people are really excited for, which is going to be Daredevil: Born Again. As Sid and I
Yes,
talked about earlier,
yes.
uh, we're going to um, to see the return of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. We're also going to see the return of Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin,
Oh
which
yeah,
I love Vincent D'Onofrio. I think he's
yes,
been one of my favorite. He's definitely a favored actor of mine for a long time, and everybody praised his portrayal of Kingpin.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
he did a bang up job at it. So it's great to see that we're bringing back some of these at least same characterizations, maybe not necessarily the same on point characters as the
Right.
Netflix series, but we're at
Because
least seeing them coming back
oh,
again.
for sure. And now I mean, and it's correct me if I'm wrong, but like Marvel's been really non-committal one way or the other on if this is a continuation of the Netflix Daredevil or if it is an entirely new thing.
Yeah,
Because given I mean, with everything going on, they could very well be variants of Matt Murdock and Kingpin. And given some of the things that we've seen thus far with those characters in the MCU, with some creative writing, they could make it work. I don't necessarily want to say Disney make it a reboot because I do like a lot of the stuff that they did in the Netflix Daredevil shows. But at the same time, I think from a integration standpoint, it may be better to make it a reboot. I mean, Born Again could have double meanings. It could be alluding to the fact that the series is coming back. It could be, given Matt Murdock's faith, it could be a spiritual, being born again, or a personal journey or something like that. So I mean, it could go either way. I mean, either way, the title, especially on the internet, the title is getting people talking about theories on is it canon, isn't it canon, or in reference to the Netflix shows. So, but that's one that when they announced that one, I literally cheered out loud because I love what they did with Daredevil in Netflix. And admittedly, Daredevil was a character that I knew who he was, I knew about him, but I was never super interested until the Netflix show. The Netflix show made me a fan of Daredevil. So I'm
Right.
excited unbelievably for that one. But
Yep.
capping off the end of 2024, or sorry, beginning 2024, excuse me, I read that wrong. Um, which Daredevil is spring 2024. Late spring 2024, we are getting Captain America New World Order, which will feature Captain America, Sam Wilson, as we saw him in Falcon and Winter Soldier, making his cinematic Captain America. So that's going to be, we don't really know from this point on, this is all we don't know kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's going to be good to see how Sam has grown as Captain America since we last saw him in the MCU. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. We don't really know anything.
Yeah, and I'm curious how they're gonna approach that, and if they're going to pair him up with Bucky Barnes.
Right, if they're going to give him his sidekick or if it's just going to be a standalone film.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that was one of the better parts, I think, of Captain the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier show was they played off each other very well.
Yes, because
Uh,
it was very clear they were not Steve and Bucky. They made that very clear, but I liked their dynamic.
yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. So, yeah, we're kind of in the speculation territory at this point, so there's not much that we can say on it. I'm hopeful. I would like to see the Sam Wilson's Bucky, or I'm sorry, Sam Wilson's Cap be successful. That
Absolutely.
said, it's been a while since we saw Cap and Anthony Mackie as the both as Sam Wilson. So I'm curious, how much longer he's going to be into playing the characters
Right.
and playing the MCU before wanting to kind of move on. And maybe this break between things is actually helpful and can revitalize, but
Right.
we'll see.
But I think that caps off the end of Phase 5. Moving into Phase 6 territory. This is where a lot of people are really excited. Phase 6, admittedly, from what they've announced thus far, as Ian and I kind of talked about this before we were recording, Phase 6, right now there are only 3 announced projects. Now, that doesn't mean that there are only going to be 3 projects in Phase 6. I imagine there is going to be other movies in there. I imagine, well, there may not be that many other movies looking at the timeline here, but there's probably going to be some other Disney Plus shows, things of that nature. But it's going to start off in November of 2024, which is fitting because we're getting Fantastic Four. Their official MCU debut. That being said, it is up in the air and Disney is being very non-committal. Spoiler warnings for Doctor Strange. Is John Krasinski returning or not? Fans were clamoring to get him cast as Reed Richards. They got it in Doctor Strange. They left it in Doctor Strange. So even Krasinski himself is very hush hush coy about it. So it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to keep him as Reed Richards or if it's going to be an entirely new cast. Now, that being said, a lot of people are obviously excited about MCU Fantastic Four. Given the track records of the Fantastic Four movies, though, this is one that they have to play very close to the chest on. Disney really needs to go back, Listen to what people had to say about the first two Fox, or the first three, because the first series had two movies,
Yes.
and then the reboot had one. Thank God. They need to really go back and listen what people did not like about those movies, and make sure they don't do those things. Disney,
Yes.
I know you're probably not listening, but I cannot stress this enough. Listen to what people said about those first movies. Take them to heart, please. But
Yeah, it again. There's really no information other than the announcement that there will be a movie, which is unsurprising given their acquisition of Fox and pulling it back in. I'm hopeful that we'll get a decent Fantastic Four movie. I'm also really kind of thinking that um, based around the next couple of movies that we were talking about, that we're going to see obviously Doctor Doom as
yes,
the main big bad of that, or at least introduction of the presence of Doctor Doom,
yes,
and hopefully at least some little bit of introduction of him. Because again, the only other two movies that have been announced is going to be Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and Avengers: Secret Wars,
yep,
which
yeah. We're getting
if you
two Avengers movies in 1 year this time.
right, but if you look at the time, if you look at the timelines on them, we see May uh, is being earmarked for the Kang Dynasty, and then November for Secret Wars. So there's a 6 month gap in there that we can see additional properties coming in, some other work coming in, kind of fill in some of the gaps,
Yep.
more movies. Um,
Well, and
but
and,
uh,
and one thing I pointed out to Ian before before we recorded, when we were getting like, we have images of the timelines for Phase 6 pulled up. You see Fantastic Four at the left, all the way at the beginning. Then there's a rather large, I think, intentionally placed gap there. They could have easily shrunk the timeline down to make the image a little more cohesive, but there's a gap there with a very bright yellow star right where another movie logo would fit. Right there, like at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. So I'm curious if it's just from a design standpoint, it's very odd to have that there. Because let's see, because okay, there's a 6 month gap between the two Avengers film. There's a 6 month gap between Fantastic Four and the first Avengers film. So why is the spacing for the last 6 months so much smaller than the spacing for those first 6 months? Just saying. I mean,
yeah, but
yeah.
we obviously have no information
There.
about the Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars. They have
I'm just
right now.
going off on my conspiracy theory train here.
Right. They have
Sorry.
nothing. They have nothing announced nothing beyond just titles for the movies,
Yep.
which could even probably change. Although at this point, I think they're pretty well set in stone. So we understand, Kang Dynasty, what that's going to mean. Obviously, we're going to have Kang. Then we have Secret Wars, which, if anyone knows the Secret War comics and movie comics, you know how critical of a character that Doctor Doom is to those.
Yes.
Um, and really what that all actually means as far as the greater Marvel universe.
Yes.
Um, so there's also other things that fit in there that are very important. Logan, Old Man Logan is a very important character to Secret Wars and the kind of the resulting timelines of that. So um, anyway, so we can't speculate. We can only speculate so much
Yeah.
on that. We don't, we may get into that as time goes on a little bit
Yeah.
closer.
I mean,
Um, there
we've got a couple years, Ian.
we do. There is one more movie that we failed to mention. We were talking about it earlier, or maybe yesterday, whatever it is. We also have Thunderbolts.
Yes, we do, which is odd that it's not on the timeline.
It's on my timeline. I have July 6th, 2024.
It is
While
not.
Tim goes and looks and tries to not feel like an ass. Um, Again, there's not been much announced about the Thunderbolts. At this point, we don't have a whole lot of information. We do know what the Thunderbolts are. They're this team of villains. At least comic book wise, they were originally led by Thunderbolt Ross. However, this past year we did see the passing of William Hurt, who played
Oh,
that character in the MCU. Yes.
I do see it on here. The multiverse saga apparently is not Phase 4. Apparently that starts with Daredevil, Captain America: New World Order, Thunderbolts, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars. That's the multiverse saga, apparently.
I don't. At least on the article that I'm on, it doesn't have it. It doesn't have phase timeline names. But
Okay.
anyway, I just have Thunderbolts on the list. So
Yeah.
we have some opportunity here to see what potential we have. There's obviously Zemo as a potential character in the Thunderbolts. We probably are not going to get Thunderbolt Ross involved at all.
Yeah.
My guess is we're probably going to have Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character kind of leading up this effort. So I'm going to guess we're going to see U.S. Agent
Oh
as a
yeah.
potential for Thunderbolts. Maybe this is where we will see Venom make his make an appearance.
Maybe.
So there's definitely some opportunity here. And the Thunderbolt. The other thing that's kind of strange here is because Osborn, Norman Osborn, was part of the Thunderbolts as well as Goblin. So, and we don't have an MCU version of Green Goblin at this
Right.
point.
Which speaking of which, one thing that we didn't mention on the timeline, Spider-Man freshman year, which is a Disney Plus thing, was originally billed as like Peter's origin story. But based on some of the stuff that they've put out for it, canonically that's impossible because of some of the characters that they said are going to be in it. Like, I'll start off light. Scorpion. Okay, we've seen Scorpion in MCU, but this is a prequel, and they show him in his Scorpion suit. Okay, maybe he didn't put the connection together, or maybe Gargan didn't have his suit when we saw him in Spider-Man. But one big glaring thing, Otto Octavius is in Spider-Man freshman year. He should have had some knowledge on who Doc Ock is. He saw him in No Way Home. So people now are thinking that instead of this being an origin story, that it is its own separate standalone Spider-Man animated thing, which is kind of disappointing. Because I was expecting Spider-Man prequel in animated form because we don't need to see his origin story in another movie. It's been done countless times, but it would have been nice to at least kind of see that done canonically in the MCU. But based on what they've shown off, that it can't be. It cannot be canonical, which
well,
I am a little sad about that.
I will just throw this out there. Canonically speaking, in the MCU, Spider-Man has graduated college or high school, and he is now potentially moving on to college.
Right. Well, I mean, gonna be hard to do when he doesn't
With his
exist.
freshman year of college.
Well, it's they build it as like freshman year, meaning beginning of whatnot, and it was literally his freshman high school year.
Yeah,
It was
I
like
mean they've pulled the old bait and switch on you before, so
yeah,
it's
maybe,
not uncommon. But
maybe.
anyway, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up for today.
I think
That's
so.
going to, I think, do it for us as we cover the San Diego Comic-Con timeline of Marvel's Phase 5 and Phase 6. Very excited about this phase.
Yes.
Admittedly, I was feeling, I think, a little bit of superhero fatigue at the start of Phase 4, so I think maybe that's why I haven't been getting as big into it. Also, right in the middle of a pandemic. So, that kind of, I think, changed a little bit of my viewing habits. But
Right.
anyway, so looking forward to this and seeing where they go with it.
Oh yeah.
And also looking forward to more news on all of these properties and even unannounced properties. X-Men. So
Well, I mean,
um,
X-Men '97, it's coming.
I'm talking about MCU
I
X-Men.
know, but still, at least it's something.
It is. But anyway, did I just hear a duck? Uh,
Maybe.
quack. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and wrap up for tonight. As always, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you listening in. You can catch us on our sponsored network, Anchor.fm and Spotify. You can also catch us on social media, Facebook.com/non-sequitur-nerds, Twitter @non-sequitur-nerd, Twitch.tv/non-sequitur-nerds, and as always, you can catch recordings of the videos on YouTube.com/non-sequitur-nerds,
And on
as well
Spotify now.
as Spotify.
Yep. Yep.
Our video recordings are also now up on Spotify as well as the audio recordings. So please check us out on whatever your favorite platform is.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Well, with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. We wish you all a good night, and we will catch you next time. So, as always, for the Non Sequitur Nerds, I'm Ian.
And I'm Tim. Night, everybody.